Welcome to Walt Disney World, the world's most visited theme park and resort destination. However, on July 5, 2009, this lovely place was the site of a horrible occurrence that forever altered our perception of transportation safety. What happened that day? How did the fun and entertaining theme park host a tragic accident? And how did staff negligence contribute to the accident? This is the tragic tale of the Monorail accident at Walt Disney World, which took the life of a pilot and left his family overturned with grief. The Walt Disney World monorail system is a shining example of automated guideway transit that glides on a single rail. The transportation service gracefully connects different areas of the resort, including the Epcot theme park, the Ticket and Transportation Center, and several of the resort's hotels via the Epcot line. Though the concept of monorails dates back to the late 19th century, it wasn't until the 20th century that they truly reached their potential. In 1971, with the opening of the Magic Kingdom, the monorail system was put in place to provide a convenient and futuristic means of transporting guests from one part of the resort to another. The monorail system at Walt Disney World had an outstanding safety record before the tragic incident that claimed a life in 2009. You might be wondering how an accident can take place on a simple train like the monorail, and are probably asking yourself how it functions. Well, electricity is the lifeblood of the monorails, fueling their graceful movement along the elevated tracks. The single rail, also known as a guideway, is the crown jewel of each train, guiding it flawlessly along the tracks. The monorail system is masterfully controlled by a central control center, where a skilled supervisor is in charge of directing the pilot, ensuring a safe and seamless journey for all. A panel operator, stationed in a state-of-the-art control room, is responsible for meticulously turning on and off track power and activating track switches with great care and attention to detail. A highly advanced computer system is employed to operate the monorails, and it is this system that is accountable for regulating the speed at which the trains move. Each monorail train has a highly skilled pilot who is in charge of making sure everyone on board is safe and healthy and is in constant contact with the control center that oversees the whole monorail system. Now, how exactly did the accident happen? On the night of the accident, at approximately 2:00 a.m., 3 trains were running on the Epcot line: the Monorail Pink, the Monorail Purple, and the Monorail Coral. Monorail Pink's pilot was about ready to call it a day and turn in for the night, and to get back to the maintenance area, it needed to move from the Epcot line to the Magic Kingdom Express line. With precision and ease, Pink glided past the spur track connecting the two lines, the Epcot line and the Magic Kingdom Express line, came to a complete stop, and then reported the status back to the supervisor, indicating that the first part of this operation was executed seamlessly. Then, the supervisor quickly called the panel operator and asked him to make the necessary changes to the track with great care and attention to detail so that Pink could back up onto the spur line smoothly. But the panel operator was preoccupied with 2 radio calls about other trains that came in almost at the same time. After resolving these issues, the panel operator returned power to the Epcot line, but he did so under the incorrect assumption that he had already made the switch. In reality, he had not yet made the switch. After that, the panel operator got in touch with the supervisor, who then got in touch with Pink and authorized the pilot to reverse onto the spur line. But the person in charge of the panel was busy with 2 urgent radio calls about other trains that came in almost at the same time. Then the panel operator called the supervisor, who in turn called Pink and gave the pilot permission to back up onto the spur line. The pilot of the Pink monorail train then proceeded to reverse the direction of the train, but because the track had not been switched correctly, the train kept going along the Epcot line rather than moving onto the spur track as the pilot had planned. Now, in order to transport guests from Epcot to their resorts, Purple was also operating along the Epcot line. This train contained a single pilot and 6 passengers. While Pink was moving backward, Purple was moving forward. However, the pilot of Purple had a sneaking suspicion that something was wrong and that an accident was about to take place. Therefore, he reacted at the last minute and put the train into reverse, which was meant to protect the passengers on board from any potential danger. Even though Purple's pilot took steps to prevent it, the 2 trains collided and came to a partial stop at the Ticket and Transportation Center, TTC. Because of the collision, the front cab of Purple and the back cab of Pink became entangled, which then resulted in the pilot of Purple becoming trapped. The victim of this accident, Austin Vunenberg, who was 21 years old at the time, was not able to survive the collision despite the efforts of other passengers and professional responders. There were no injuries sustained by either the passengers or the pilot of Monorail Pink. The investigation into the incident was carried out by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, and their attention was focused on why the monorails were that close to one another in the first place. Investigators didn't take long to figure out that the likely cause of the accident was that the monorail operator didn't follow safety rules, as well as Disney's inadequate supervision of the monorail operator. The protocol says that when the pilot gets off the train at the TTC station in Epcot, he or she must switch to the opposite cab, then reverse the train so that it is facing the beam, then move forward over the spur track and into the Magic Kingdom track of the station. Then change pilot cabs again and go counterclockwise down the Magic Kingdom track or elsewhere. On the other hand, when the pilot of the Pink monorail was interrogated about the protocol, he stated that it was not always followed since the operator would select where and when to transfer cabs. Also, it was found that the panel operator who was working the night of the accident was not where he was supposed to be when the shunting operation started. This was because a few minutes before the accident, the operator on duty had reported to his superiors that he felt ill and had been allowed to go home, with a replacement being told to come to work on short notice. The replacement filled in on the job, but not from the usual location in the control room, but rather by phone from a local restaurant, without access to any surveillance equipment. Surprisingly, it turned out that this was in line with the Walt Disney World Resort's rules, which only required that the controller is in the control room. It wasn't mandatory in any way. The NTSB looked further into the accident and found that the Monorail Pink's windows were fogged up and there was very little or no light around the beam. This made it hard for the pilot to figure out where he was on his own. The investigation concluded that the pilot was not to blame for the accident that took place, but the operator who was in charge of the control panel, the central controller, and Walt Disney World Resort were all found to be at fault for the incident due to their respective acts of professional negligence and inadequate adherence to safety rules. In reaction to the disaster, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, levied a fine on the Walt Disney World Resort. After the accident, Disney also removed the colors pink and purple from their merchandise. The portions of both trains that were uninjured were used to construct Monorail Teal and Monorail Peach, and the damage caused by the accident cost $24 million in total. The fatal accident that took place at Walt Disney World Resort in 2009 served as a stark reminder of the significance of safety protocols in transportation, as well as the consequences of failing to adhere to these protocols. The disaster took everyone by surprise, but it did highlight several flaws in the safety standards and oversight of the monorail system. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of this video. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video and would like to see more content like this, then do us a favor by subscribing to our channel and clicking on the notification bell for more uploads.